Hey, you ever been to Chancellor Park? That's where I live. My name is Tavin Dillard. I live in Chancellor Park. I mow lawns, mowing, edging, grass cutting legend. I sure am glad to join me here on this podcast. I want to let you know what's going on in my neck of the woods. Now, I started out years ago on the YouTubes and then the TikToks and the Instagrams now and the whatnots. I got the websites, the tavindillard.com, but right now, I want to clue you into what's happening in my neck of the woods on the Tavin Dillard podcast. You here? I'm here. I'm glad you joined me. Now I'm going to send it over to myself. This is like the pre-introduction, but let's get on to the real show today. I'm glad you joined me here. Bank, bank. Well, hey y'all guys. Happy Junes to you. I hope you're having a great Cannonball month, Watermelon Helmet month, and just I guess it's Fridays, is National Donut Day. And if you missed it, don't beat yourself up. You know, I celebrate that all year long, and you can too. But I hope the June is going well. I told y'all last week in the episodes, which would have been episodes 5 of season 10, because this is episode 6, is that I wanted to give y'all a recap of the Wichita Falls show. Now, that don't mean I'm telling you every single thing I talked about at the Wichita Falls show, but I mentioned it as a hoot. Well, we had folks come out there in the theater there. It's called, I think, the Wichita Theater is the name of the place there in Wichita Falls. And I had I had some books there, the new books, Team Burger Shed. And I'll put a link today in the show notes for a couple things on that book. One, and that's just a book about how my adult softball team, Team Burger Shed, came together, our first season and all that, like out of way. And anyways, in the show notes today, I'll put a link to the book that you can buy, but also it's on the audio now if you want to listen to it. Y'all know about listening to it because you listen to a podcast. You know as well as I do, it's for your ears. And it's the same with the audio book. So if them things is interesting to you, you can get them. But so folks get a book there, or maybe they already bought a book and just brought it, and I signed it. Before the show, I did not. I wasn't out before the show, but then during the show, obviously I was there because that's what I was doing there. And then after the show, there's some hanging out to do in the lobby, signing books and shirts, whatnot. But here's the deal. I'll tell you about the show. It was great to see y'all that came out. And afterwards, there's the after party. I'll get to that too. But during the show, I was giving stuff away. Gave away a couple books. I had folks on stage. Oh, that's what I was going to say. There's footage, like video that got shot of the show. And so I'll probably be posting more. I've already posted a little bit from the show, but more, in upcoming weeks, probably just little clips from the Wichita Falls show. But during the show, so I had a few watermelons on stage with me. I actually had a couple knives earlier in the day. I was, where I could have made my own watermelon helmet, but I was like, buddy, I'm going to leave these, whole and then figure out a way to do them. Because, watermelon helmet, it takes a little bit of work. You got to have some time. You got to be ready for a little bit of mess. And just the day was what it was. I was like, you know what, I'm going to leave these like this away on stage. Ended up giving them all away, having folks come on stage, try to give a little tutorial on how they could cut them. Because for every one watermelon, you got at least, pretty much only two helmets you can get out of it, depending on the design you're going with. And, there's a little bit of art to it. There's a little bit of science and a little bit of art, because you got to be able to have somewhere to put that watermelon, and you don't want to eat. You do not want to eat the whole or the half of the watermelon you cut to make a helmet out of yourself, or you'll be in the bathroom the rest of the day. You ain't even going to have no time to enjoy wearing a watermelon helmet out nowheres. Gave away that. We played a little Stray Dog Crow. You might have heard me talk about that, a little trailer park game before. It's very similar to what folks call Duck, Duck, Goose, but you hold a bag of snacks on your head, and the person walks around, stray dog, and if they the crow, they snatch your snack, and they run with it, and you got to catch them before they get back around the circle. I got video footage of that. maybe I'll post that sometime too. But that was a hoot. A little stray dog crow, and everybody won. I mean, I let them all leave with the snacks, which was a bag of hot fries or a bag of Funyuns. So we had a hoot of a time there. It was great meeting folks afterwards. Some folks, had to get after the first show, talk to them. And then some folks stuck around for the after party. And I had help. I think it was Rick, one of the fellers there at the show, helped me carry the merchandise table across the street. I think his wife might have started, and then he came over and helped. Anyhow, basically the after show was at the little theater across the street, so we carried that merchandise table across there in case folks want that. And then when you get over there, we ended up going. Sonic helped us out. You heard about the Sonic? I mean, they had a truck, and I think 4 folks showed up to deliver tater tots and bacon cheeseburger. So we were going to do like bacon cheeseburger sliders. We just ended up going big and doing the burgers for folks. And Dr. Pepper, we had Dr. Pepper there. We had regular Dr. Pepper, which is what I was drinking during the after party show. And then Diet Dr. Pepper, I think the zero kind of thing. And here's the deal, y'all guys. You may not, if you was at the after party, I didn't even think about it till later. After the after party, I was like, hey, we was having donuts and chocolate milk. And the donuts was there from Shipley's Donuts, chocolate bars. I had a Frittler, real good brain food. But after the after party, I was like, it was donut chocolate milk too, not just Dr. Pepper and bacon cheeseburgers. Where's that chocolate milk? Guess what? We had 5 gallons of chocolate milk. We just never had time to get out. We had a bunch of cups there. We was going to chocolate milk it up. So just so you know, if you were at the after party and you were like, where's the chocolate milk? Nobody asked me, and I forgot to bring it up. I was busy doing other stuff. I could have told you, oh yeah, the chocolate milk's here. We just got to bring it out. It never got brought out. So the Wichita Theater, that they got left with some chocolate milk they could drink. And I left some bags of Funyuns and hot fries on the main stage. So I think they probably still partying this week or so after the thing. So thank y'all for coming to the after party. It was a packed group out there at the after party. We had a fun time. More pictures and all that kind of glad handing and greeting folks and hearing stories and telling stories. And obviously I talked a little bit about donuts at the after party. I had a story to tell or so. And but yeah, there was chocolate milk and there was donuts and there was Dr. Pepper and there's bacon cheeseburger. The chocolate milk just didn't make it out to the front, where we was all hanging out. So anyhow, thank y'all all for coming out and made the whole show a success. I mean, y'all really did. If y'all didn't come to the show, then I'd just be talking to myself, and I could do that in the trailer here. So appreciate y'all all coming out. Are there going to be more shows, you might ask? We're working on it. We definitely working on it. In fact, just a few days ago, National Donut Day on the 7th, and this past weekend, I was in Lake Fork, Texas, at the Skeeter Boats has a tournament. Fishing tournament. So I was out there. I wasn't fishing, but I was there, and that was a hoot. Seen my buddy Cliff Pace. So I do have events I've been at, and hopefully there's going to be more coming up. But don't matter no how. I got more to talk about this week and today than just my recent appearances at a couple different places in Texas, Wichita Falls and Lake Fork. So thank y'all for all that housekeeping. I don't think there's anything else really for the show notes today. I mean, we got the that's not true. That's not true. I told you about Team Burger Shed, the book or the audio book. You'll see the links for that. But Father's Day is this week, so I mean, hop on it if you want the bacon bag or you want the butter bacon shirt, the new campaign shirt, boat butter, boat bacon, or those two things. If you'll see the links there, because in the show notes, when you click on that and you go to the bacon bag, let's say, and you put the discount code butter bacon at checkout, you get 15% off. And if you use that same code when you checking out for the butter bacon shirt, you get 15% off. So them some Father's Day deals for you that you can find today too, if you're interested in that. And even if you ain't getting them for Father's Day, I mean, you still get 15% off. You use that code and go ahead and do that this week. So that's for y'all to have. I was having some of the bacon this week. Really like it. I'm enjoying it. Great snack. And as you know, I'm a no-pro fisherman, so I bring the snacks. Well, what's going on in town, you probably wondering. Well, our team has won one game this season. It's a new season. It's a baby doll season. Not really baby doll, but I'm just saying it's young. It's little. And so we've only had 2 games. And we won one of them, so that's a win. And then we lost one of them, so that's a loss. And if you put it together, we won and won. That represents the 1 win and the 1 loss. We beat Brunwell Tires in game 1, and we lost last week to Thunder Punch 9-5. Kind of lost the mind game, if you know what I mean. But what I mean is all the commotion at the concession stand distracted us. Now, I ain't saying this is an excuse. We still got to win on the field, but boy, when your head's somewhere else, that's on us. So I ain't blaming the concession stand because we've got to be better than that. And when stuff's going on outside the field, we still got to focus on what's going on the field. Plus, Rusty Tidwell did have a busted pinky. But it's a new week, and I got an update on Game 3. The first I want to tell you, though, something about Wrastlin Camp this summer in town. You know about camps? I mean, summer's a time of year for all kind of camps. You know about that. Church camp, band camp, basketball camp. But what else? How's about a wrestling camp? Oh, yeah. I couldn't believe it neither, but it happened, and apparently it's going to happen next week, too. Who in our town would host a wrestling camp, you might be asking yourself? Well, who has more energy and more drive to take on all kind of things in our town than anybody else? Things like running along John Silver's in the next county over, like being a high school PE coach, being head lifeguard at the city pool, and owning his own gym in town called Thunder Punch? Well, if you ain't guessed it by now, it's D.W. Hicks. Folks call him Coach Hicks. I'm a folk. That's what I call him. He's teaching basic grappling moves, takedowns, some finesse, sleeper hold, figure 4, them ones that really get you through life. And guess who got a summer camp job at the wrestling camp? Well, if you're thinking me, you got to know by now my plate is full, so I couldn't take on that job. I can't be doing everything. But there's one fella who always seems to have some time on his hands, my brother Brett. You ever seen the basketball team called the Harlem Globetrotters? And they always travel with another team, and that team always gets beat by the Harlem Globetrotters? Well, I think my brother Brett's that team. He's like the wrestling camp dummy, so to speak, where Coach Hicks uses him as an example to show them moves on, and then the other campers get to practice on Brett. The good thing about Brett is that he ain't trying to let them, and he don't really ever get hurt. He pops right back up. It's almost like he found his dream job. Now, I heard Coach Hicks had to throttle my brother Brett back on the first day because he was going all out on them 10-year-olds and them younger kids. Brett don't have no category. It's like he going to win everything he tried to do. The only thing is he can't do that against adults. He gets whooped, so that makes him a good wrestling dummy. But with them younger kids, he had to learn to, hold off a little bit. So the way this camp works is folks sign up for different shifts during the day, goes up to teenagers. So you got 5-year-olds, 10-year-olds, 15-year-olds. They even let 19-year-olds in because basically that's still a teenager. Well, not even basically. That's hard science right there. So they got some fitness at first, kind of thing like running, sit-ups, push-ups. Then there's a lesson, and then there's the practicing with the other folks, like you putting it into practice, what you learning, now go do it kind of thing. Well, it don't take long to find out who the biters are. Those are some of them little kids. Perry Lee Grubbs bit Will Dilroy, and he should know better. Perry Lee's mama and daddy own donut goes in town. Bite a donut, Perry Lee, not the back of Will Dilroy's right haunch. Come on, buddy. Thing about Coach Hicks is that people don't surprise him. So he ain't all down and out about folks like, oh, everything's terrible, but he also don't get rattled with stuff like that. So a little kid biting another kid, boy, he'll say, knock it off, we ain't going to do that. But he also ain't going to be all like his world fall apart if something like that happened. Good for him, or else he'd be throwing up his hands every water aerobics class where my Meemaw Mabel Childers are together. Long story longer, it ain't just donuts and burgers in my town. We getting fit too. And speaking of fit, Team Burger Shed had Game 3 of the season this week against Guthrie's Hunting Supply. I don't know if Rusty Tidwell's completely healed, but he didn't have no splint on his pinky this week, and he didn't even bring it up. And when Myron Curtis asked him about it, he said it was fine. Real quick, short answer. And folks know not to press with Rusty Tidwell. He's no nonsense come game time. You know, you ask him a question, he give you an answer, we done with that talk kind of thing. Rance Farnhart walked up shaking his head to the fields. I asked him what was wrong. He said his folks, you know, that's Jerry Don and Sybil Farnhart, they run the flea market in town, loaded up a bunch of Styrofoam Coolers because they had too many at the flea market. His folks said he could sell them at Fishing Clips. That's the bait and tackle shop that he owns. So what's the problem, Rance? That's straight profit for you. You know, they giving you these Styrofoam Coolers for free. You just sell them and make money off of them. He said, but it ain't, Tab, and it ain't straight profit. I got them for surplus last year. I gave that to my mama and daddy. Now they giving it back to me. So Rance done bought them one time over. Couldn't get rid of them, so he gave them to his folks. They couldn't get rid of them, so they trying to give them back to Rance. And I was like, oh, that kind of do stink, Rance. He said, plus when they break, it makes a mess in the lake and all around it. Them styrofoam shards, you know, they kind of splinter everywhere. Well, I ain't worried that you won't find a use for them, Rance. You got a way to figure those things out. And he just shakes his head as he tosses his glove in the dugout before he runs a warm-up lap. Rance will run a warm-up lap before the game. I've done that before too, but don't go around thinking Team Burger Shed, we all run together and stretch out before the game. I mean, we don't even show up at the same time. We just glad when the game starts, everybody's there. Rusty Tidwell stays in shape during the week anyway. He's been working out at Thunder Punch. He ain't helping with the Wrastlin Camp, though, but he just work out there. Well, Mary Beth Tucker has a wagon again this week. Please, no. Please don't tell me you brought that personal pizza maker back to the fields, Mary Beth. Well, good news, she didn't. So what's in the wagon, you might be asking? You remember them containers she brought last week? Well, she brought them again, and she's got this little stand with holes in it. I think it's made for ice cream cones. Like if you work at an ice cream store and you get a bunch of cones ordered and you set them in this little ice cream holder stand till the person that buys them picks them up with their own hands. But I think it works for snow cones too, because they in pointy cones like them ice cream cones. That way she can set it there and folks can take it from there. That way she ain't got to wait for them to get ready if they fiddling with the change purse or they trying to grab the hand of a toddler that's trying to run away. She just set it in that snow cone holder and then she can go on to the next thing. She got a hot dog holder up there too. Now, why can't she just hand that to customers? I do not know. It's fine, I guess, but the concession stand counter is getting pretty crowded. And then you got a problem when you got too many things, you know, too many bells and whistles. Okay? We ain't trying to do that, Mary Beth. Well, about the time that Mary Beth starts unloading that wagon, Russell Tucker, that's her brother, he's one of my best friends, he shows up with his pickup and 3 coolers full of who knows what. But he's got them coolers in his pickup truck. I turned to JT Whitlow. We standing behind the dugout looking at the concession stand when we see Russell and his little boys pull up. What does Russell have? JT just kind of shakes his head. Your guess is as good as mine, Tavin. Well, we're about to take the field, so I don't think too much of it. I'm trying to learn not to let the concession stand get to me, you know. I don't want it to bother me. I got to focus on the game. We done lost last week. We let things get in our mind, get in our head. We can't do that. So I'm batting leadoff tonight, y'all guys. Russell, he put Rusty batting second. Put me batting first. That's fine, but I think Russell was wondering if Rusty's 100% because he's usually batting a little farther down, like third or fourth. Don't matter no how, you know, we're going to find out how Rusty Pinky was doing soon enough. We going to play, you know. Brody Childers, he parked a Ford Windstar in the parking lot. You'd think Brody was rich with all the cars he's got, but it's like they hedging their bets. Like, this one might break down soon, so we need a backup, but maybe they could put the money into one good car instead of 3 bad ones, but that ain't my call. You already know maybe that him and his wife, Brandon Lynn, they got a Suzuki Sidekick, a Ford Windstar minivan, and a 1986 two-tone Buick Century. He's in the Windstar tonight. And guess who else pulls up? My gal Cricket. Folks keep asking me when we getting married, and I ain't got a good answer, but we dating, and she's at my game tonight. And by the time she made it to the dugout fence, we was about to bat, and I'm first, so already I had the bat in my hand at that point. I just say, "Hey, Cricket." She says, "Hey, Tavin, can't wait to see y'all win," is what she said. And just then, there's a scream from the concession stand. I'm thinking, what in the world? And Cricket looks to the concession stand, and then she looked back to me, and she's like, "Don't worry about it, baby. I'll see if Mary Beth needs help. Just play your game." Cricket knows how I get worked up over all them hijinks at the concession stand, and she didn't want to let that, get in my head and play them mind games like it did with us last week. Of course, I wish she could just relax and watch the game, but that's a tall order at our ball fields to hope there ain't no distractions there. So I decided to take the first pitch of the night. I just leave the bat on my shoulder. I'm in the batter's box, bat on my shoulder. The ball comes down there, slow pitch, easy like out of way. It's right down the middle, y'all guys. Well, then I took another, strike two. I don't know why. I just thought I'd hang back a little bit, but they could have rolled it up there, and I knew I was going to swing at the third pitch, though. It didn't matter to me where it was, in or out of the strike zone. After standing through two strikes, I had to at least go down swinging. So I started early once he released the ball, and I pulled it. I'm a lefty, and it was right over the first baseman's head and in for a single. Or was it? Just like I decided no matter what that I was going to swing at that pitch number 3, I also decided to run to second base no matter what, no matter where I hit it. If you ever played sports, you might think this is a terrible strategy, but you got to know, y'all guys, I ain't going pro here. I'm having some adult softball league fun. And guess what? I guessed right. Before you know it, the outfielder's looking confused, and I standing on second base. Mort Dwidell's wife, she brought him some new shorts because I guess she thought he lost weight. Well, he didn't lose that much weight. For whatever reason, he decided to tuck his shirt in tonight, too. You know Mort's wife, Glenda Donna. Anyhow, goodness, Mort, that little tuck in didn't help. I mean, that's too much. Not only did it help, it hurt things. Like any weight you didn't lose, we can see where it's living. That shirt was working in tandem with that elastic waistband to keep that belly inside that shirt, instead of using every bit of teamwork between the two to make it happen. And before I get to Mort, you should know that Rusty doubled and so did JT Whitlow, so we was up 2-0 with a runner on second and no outs by the time Mort stepped up to the plate. He looked uncomfortable. We all look uncomfortable for him. "Did you bring another pair of shorts, Mort?" I holler from the dugout. He's stepping into the batter's box at this point. "No, I told my wife I'd try these. She said they'd breathe with you." "Looks like they holding their breath with you," hollered Cody Mantell. Mort steps up, and he takes one of the worst swings I ever seen. Like there ain't no way he's hitting a dinger tonight, and he don't run anyway on a good night, so there ain't no way he's about to run. Well, he swings again, and he lines it to second. JT's off the bag, and they tag him like a quick double play. Russell Tucker's up next, but wait a minute. He ain't here. I ain't really thought about the concession stand since Cricket told me not to worry about the concession stand, but now I realize that whatever's going on over at the concession stand ain't been solved yet. We had to pause the game. Second week in a row. Why? Because of the concession stand. 2 weeks in a row. Turns out Russell misunderstood his sister Mary Beth about how much snow cone ice she needed, and he and his son brought them 3 boys, Ronnie Keith, Jesse, and Russell ain't a boy, but the 3 of them, Russell and his 2 boys, brought 3 ice coolers full of ice. And he told them boys of his to work together and deliver that to the stand while we played our softball game. Well, them coolers was heavy, and them boys dropped one at the concession stand. Most of the ice spilt out. Then, in the parking lot, they dropped the other 2, and the ice chest cracked. Well, once we know the problem, they had a lot of ice and no place to put it, I looked at Rance Farnhart. He kind of smiled at me. We got them Styrofoam coolers to the concession stand that Rance had in his truck, and what they didn't sell tonight, folks got to take home in their own little personal Styrofoam cooler with some snow cone ice. Like that away. I didn't take any snow cone ice home in the cooler, but I did get a free snow cone after the game. You know why? You know why. Team Burger Shed, we beat Guthrie's Hunting Supply 12-11. Great game. I got 2 snow cones actually since we missed last week when the concession stand got shut down early. I got cherry and green apple. 2 flavors, 2 different snow cones. I didn't mix them. And then I helped Cricket load up a styrofoam cooler of ice. She said her granddaddy loves snow cones. We hung out at the bleachers for a little while and caught up, and then I headed back to Chancellor Park on my bike. I still got my ATV, y'all guys, and I may be getting a Ford Ranger soon. But I like that bike, especially on a summer night after a softball game. Team Burger Shed is now 2 wins to 1 loss. That's 2-1, and off to a real good start. Our concession stand, they ain't really had a good week yet, but that ain't my concern. But somehow, I'm concerned. There's some Wrastlin Camp going on, there's some softball going on, and there's some butter bacon excitement going on in them show notes today, like I mentioned. Check it all out. And please stay in touch with me, y'all. Rate the podcast. You can share it wherever you share things or whoever you share things with. You can comment on it. And as always, I'm sure glad you stopped by my neck of the woods for a little bit of your week to spend with me. Thanks again for everybody that came out to Wichita Falls. Again, them show notes today are really like 4 things if you want to check them out. Team Burger Shed book. It is shipping now. And then we got the Team Burger Shed audio book. I guess it's shipping. You know, the interweb ships it to your ears or however. And then we got bacon bags, 15% off. Butter bacon shirts, 15% off. And you can check it all out today in the show notes. I sure am glad you joined me here on the Tab and Dillard podcast. And hey, if you ain't been bit on the back right haunch at the Wrastlin Camp by Perry Lee Grubbs, you having a pretty good week. Me, I'm Tab and Dillard. This is the Tab and Dillard podcast. Till next time, y'all guys. We'll see you later.